one of our volunteer board members for the Mayor's Recognition Committee. And my co-chair, Adriana Lujan, is moving this way. Isn't this marvelous? Marvelous. Let's give ourselves a hand. Just think, 2 years ago, we were in a different space, in a different place. We were probably closed up somewhere at home or working remotely. So we are so grateful to be able to have all of you join us today for the Mayor's annual recognition event of our volunteers across the city of One Albuquerqueños. Thank you for being here today. And Adriano, co-chair, would also like to welcome you.
Yes, thank you all for being here. It's really great after 2+ years, to actually be holding this in person. A lot of hard work by the volunteer board, by Mariah with the city, and we're just happy to be here. So hope you all enjoy, and we'll have a good event today.
Thank you, thank you. So you have programs in front of you. Just note that we want you to be able to follow the programs as we go forward. We'll be recognizing several of our wonderful organizations and volunteers. This city does not work together without all of your wonderful support to our mayor and the city. We together combined make a difference in this city, and it doesn't happen without each one of you. Every single one of you makes a difference. I have the wonderful pleasure and the opportunity of introducing one of our key partners in the city and one of our blessed people in this city. I have the opportunity to introduce our First Lady, Elizabeth Keller. Now, again, as a collaborator and a partner in this city, Elizabeth is not only a beautiful mother to 2 children and continues to do wonderful things in this city, but she's also a Rhodes Scholar and has a PhD in international development. And that, to me, is a beautiful accomplishment. She carries a lot of weight in this city, and trust me, she can be seen in many places, in many different spaces, and she also carries a full-time job at Sandia National Laboratories. So let's not count her out. Let's give her a big welcome, our First Lady, Elizabeth Keller.
Thank you so much. It is so wonderful to be here with all of you in person today. So I want to start off and thank the incredible Volunteer Advisory Board for the vision and the hard work of adapting over and over and over again to make it possible for us to gather today here in person. And their incredible partners, the staff at the Albuquerque Museum, the team at GOV-TV, who's making it possible for folks who couldn't join in person today to listen in and celebrate their family and their community members and their volunteers as well. So first, just a huge round of applause to the Volunteer Advisory Board for all of their work. I also want to thank, we're thrilled to have staff here from the Office of Civic Engagement at the city, from the Mayor's Office and Constituent Services, and across other pockets and pieces. Leadership, both past and present, that has been working hand in hand with the Volunteer Advisory Board, again, to imagine and reimagine what's possible in this city, what we can create in terms of a safe, inclusive, innovative community when we really are working together, finding things we're passionate about, strengths we adore, problems to be fixed, and when we work collaboratively to meet them. So just a huge amount of appreciation. There is so much that has happened, both behind the scenes and in front of them over the course of the year. And I want to mention and just celebrate a few as well. The Volunteer Advisory Board, together with the Office of Civic Engagement, has been working on a community of practice to help link volunteer coordinators from within the city and beyond as we continue to get better at what we do. So many of you in this room are not only volunteers, right, but volunteer coordinators and constantly thinking about how you can increase your impact, how you can scale the work you're doing. And you all know the importance of having folks who are well-trained in that kind of organization, who have people they can go to with the kinds of questions when that gets challenging, when you have to adapt for the umpteenth time with new regulations or new requirements or new ideas about what's possible. So to me, right, the work of this community of practice is more emblematic, I think, of the broader community that we have gathered here, which recognizes that we need each other as supports as we continue to think about how we do our work, how we volunteer in the community, and how we can learn from others who may be doing work in a totally different sector or of a totally different nature, but how we continue to learn from each other as we get better. So over the course of this afternoon, you'll get to hear from a few other folks. My husband, Tim, is running around to other meetings as well, but he'll be here in a bit as I switch to go give another talk somewhere else. Kind of a classic sort of schedule for us on some of these days. But I think most importantly, what we'll have a chance to hear from today is to celebrate all of the awardees that we're honoring. And have you seen in your program, or as you've shown up, right, for a family member or a friend or a neighbor or a colleague that is being honored today, I think just take a moment of appreciation to think about, right, how inspiring these stories are. Not just of the honorees today, but your own story as a volunteer and your own story in the community. We are blessed, right, that the hard work of a lot of members on this team, of the awardees and their nominators themselves, together with GOV-TV, have put together incredible videos that tell the story about what motivates, right, some of our awardees in their service and the kinds of impacts they have on the community. And I would encourage you all today, as you hear us celebrate the awardees and as you hear us celebrate the broader set of service that's happening in our community, to continue to tell these stories. Share the videos, right, that will be posted from today. Tell your own story about why you've gotten engaged, and share that with others. Because what we know is that this is a difficult time in our community, with so many struggling with economic stressors or health stressors, displacement from the fires, and that all across our community, for whatever reason, folks are looking for community. And so much of us find that community through service, right? Or find that energy and find that inspiration. So we know that everyone here in this room, right, coming out of today will continue to be able to tell your own story and the story of others, to connect with someone who may be feeling lost right now, who may be looking for ways to engage in the community or looking for other communities themselves. And we know that you all are the best ambassadors to help them know we've got opportunities here for them to engage, great people for them to work with and learn from and be inspired by. So just a huge thanks again to all of you for being part of this community, for continuing to practice this service. And now I get to introduce us to some of our favorite local voices and one of the great tools we've put together to encourage folks like all of you to get engaged. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Now, don't you think? Talk about a rock star, right? Let's not let her leave without giving her another round of applause. We are so very appreciative of our mayor and our first lady, Elizabeth Keller. They continue to do things during the last 2 years that nobody would have imagined. During this pandemic, they made sure that we kept safe. All those public service announcements, all those ongoing alerts that we had as a community, My goodness, our city went far and above and beyond to keep us safe. So let's give our city another round of applause. And so I want to be able to then have Michelle, our Vice President of the board, introduce the next wonderful speaker. Thank you, Michelle.
Vice President, that sounds so much more important than I really am. Vice Chair. It's so great to see everybody's smiling faces in one room. So thank you for being here. Mary Oishi is the Poet Laureate of Albuquerque, whose tenure actually concludes next week. Sharing her poetry today is the last official duty in her capacity as Poet Laureate, and we're so honored that it's with us today. Mary is a lifelong proponent of volunteerism, having personally committed 26 years as a volunteer public radio host and 17 years as a lead facilitator for a gay youth group. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Mary Oishi.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. I think, I think about there are people who have varying degrees of money, but there are no billionaires of time. We all have a limited amount, so when you give of your time and your effort, that's really a beautiful thing. So thank you all. I have a few things to read that relate to the groups being honored today. I saw that one of the groups has a community garden in addition to distributing food, and I think when you give away, or when you teach someone to garden, you are giving a lot of hope for the future, and you're affirming life. So this is called When I Sing of Seeds. When I sing of seeds, mine is not a song of acorns and grains, kernels and cones, not when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds falling from trees, wrapped in fruit, floating lightly, bearded in the breeze, in a bird's beak, a squirrel's cheek, a gardener's loving hand, I sing not of seeds, but of blossoms fragrant, bursting fuchsia and crimson and gold. I sing of majestic trees that join wind and earth and sun for 2,000 years when I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing harvest, sing baskets of corn to be husked, sing peas to be shelled, shells to be cracked and released of their nut meats. When I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing roasting and baking and grilling, sing conversations around the table, silverware clanking, appetites satisfied. When I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing 30 years down the road, a child yet unborn, crunching into an apple. When I sing of seeds, I sing of bouquets picked and handed to mothers with love in the year 2999. When I sing of seeds, my song rises verse after verse into all that is life, a swell of possibility. When I sing of seeds. When I sing of seeds, I sing down 7 generations, times 7, times 7, when I sing of seeds. My song never ends. My song never ends when I sing of seeds. The next one is about the pandemic, since some of you have been working with that. Pandemic notice. I notice how stay-at-home can be house arrest or fortress, depending on my focus. I notice how pets, once amusement and responsibilities, become eyes I can look into, not on a screen, but within inches, how they are living warmth I can touch and hold. I notice when somebody else shops for me, they don't care about the amount of green on the bananas or the farthest out expiration date on the cereal. I notice when they hurry away from my porch, I notice when they hurry away from dropping the bags on my porch, hustling to pay the rent, taking risks for those of us who can't afford to and can afford not to, that I am grateful, green bananas and all. I notice maskless people walking down the sidewalk in front of my house. I notice those who wear their masks over their mouth with their nose exposed. I marvel at how little some understand the purpose of things. I notice songbirds when they're in the tree. I notice when they're gone, and it's a worry. I notice with invisible danger lurking who knows where. I want to be told as much truth as anyone knows. The sleuths, the scientists, those who can realistically tell me how to keep myself safe. I have no interest in comfortable lies that could sneak the enemy past my door. I notice that I miss ritual and shared traditions so much. I hung Christmas lights for the first time, sometimes let them burn all day. I notice when I miss what I miss the most and what I look forward to are the same. I notice even at my age, I can form new habits, I can adapt, I can learn, I can change. I think the same people who worked with the pandemic worked with a lot of unhoused people, at least at the beginning of their project. So I have two final poems about unhoused people. The first one is the title poem of my new book that's coming out from UNM Press next year called Sidewalk Cruise Ship. It's just an old sofa placed by the street, free for the taking, to make way for a newer, more up-to-date style. It's trash. She's a native woman on the street a long time. It's a hard life, always moving, always vigilant. The stress wears you, you know? Park bench is hard metal. Mission cot must be rented by enduring righteous rebuke. Promise of gold streets and mansions from people who could never do this, what she does every day, out on the hot asphalt all day long. They have no idea what it's like when your feet ache all the time, at the bottom of much more gravity than your own weight. So beyond tired. Suddenly, life gifts her a big round sofa, a sidewalk cruise ship. She falls in half laughing, legs up over the fat sofa arm, feet floating weightless over the concrete sea. And one final poem. How many of you are old enough to remember Traffic's song, The Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys? Okay. All right. Well, this one's called High Spark of Low-Heeled. There she is on the corner of Broadway and Lomas dancing, wrapping her arms around herself, throwing them open to the sky, shouting commands to the drivers, waiting for the light to change. Grand sweeping motions for them to go, go, back to dancing, wrapping her arms around herself, throwing them open to the sky, singing out the descriptors of her jumbled world to the indifferent day. She's out of her mind, they think, a fleeting dismissal. Green light and they roll past, glad their doors auto-lock. I miss the first light. She makes no eye contact, calls instead to the drifting cloud that pays no mind on its way to the mountain. What trauma put her there, incoherent on the corner? What horrors made her hold herself abandon, hold herself, abandon, spinning out, back in like that? What keeps her dancing, embracing herself and reaching, still sparking too high to step off the curb? Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Mary, for your time and sharing your talents. Beautiful. Hello, my name is Hallie Kells-Wynn, and I have the pleasure of serving as the board chair this year. And thank you so much, each of you, for being here today. As Mary says, we don't have an abundance of time, so we really appreciate your time coming today. And there's so much altruism and hope in this room today that my cheeks are literally hurting from smiling so much. And also, isn't this exactly what we love most about volunteerism? Bringing together the most amazing people in one place. And free food, of course. Service and volunteerism has always held a really special place in my heart. It's led me to learn new professional skills, connect in a real way with the current needs our community faces, and grow as a person. And even, you know what, heck, I met my husband, John, volunteering. So thanks again to Albuquerque Involved and Shayna Baker. See, volunteering leads to a lot of wonderful things. I think the deeper meaning can kind of get lost when we use the term volunteer so much, right? It can start to kind of sound like a buzzword or transactional, when really it's about people feeling called to step out beyond themselves to help one another. It's an awareness of the greater role we each play in our community. Volunteering connects each of us to one another. So I'd like to build off of the saying, I don't know if you've heard it, a candle that lights another loses nothing. Let's build off of that, and even more, it spreads light. That's what each of you in this room are doing. You're spreading your light. You're making Albuquerque better. Each of us makes all of us better. We thank you for your service, and we thank you for making our home a brighter place. Now I'd like to give a huge thanks to those of you. Please stand if you are a current or a past member of the Albuquerque Volunteer Advisory Board. I'm going to read off each of your names. Alexandria Bazan, Vaisu Bronk, Nadine Berger, Patricia Chavez, our Mayor's Day Subcommittee Co-Chair, Erin Hagenow, Tara Livingston, Adriana Lujan, Mayor's Day Subcommittee Co-Chair, Michelle Montoya, Vice Chair, Jude Quintana, Dr. Joseph Sanchez, Wendy Santisteban, Dathan Weems, and we even had our past chair, longtime board member, Tim Sheehan, here today with us. So let's just give another round of applause to everyone. Each of these incredible individuals have sought out this city board so that they could give more of themselves to their community. They've shared their talents and commitment and do it not for the praise and thanks that we want to shower them with today, but just because that's the kind of people you are. Thank you so much for your commitment. A little bit about our award selection process and this board. We gave up our weekends to thoroughly read and reread and reread every single nomination that came through. And then we met for an entire day to tirelessly consider each awardee for every category. This is always a difficult feat, but especially this year, because we wanted to focus on the past 3 years of outstanding volunteerism that happened especially over the pandemic. And we are so proud of the selections that we've made. Our advisory board, we're a city advisory board to the mayor, and our mission is to lift up the stories of all the outstanding volunteers in Albuquerque and to serve as a resource for volunteers and nonprofits. We host monthly recognition ceremonies as well as this annual event, and our community of practice workshops headed up by Tara for individuals to connect with one another and to increase opportunities for volunteers. By the way, if you'd like to serve on the board or nominate someone for our monthly volunteer recognition, please see our website that's listed on the back of the program or at our table out here today. And lastly, Marcus Holguin, will you please stand? Marcus, thank you for your countless marketing efforts to legitimize and get the word out. And if you would come up to accept a token of our gratitude for all your work. Thank you for all the behind-scenes work that you've done to keep us running. We are going to miss you so much when your AmeriCorps Vista role comes to an end. So thank you so much, Marcus. Yeah, Marcus. Thank you. And he has to run back to run the lights and AV. And lastly but not leastly, Mariah Harrison, please stand. You probably are standing and running around. Mariah, as I always tell you, you are a gem. You make the mayor's office, our board, and this city just shine. You are one of the most extraordinary individuals I've ever worked with because of your unique blend of integrity, teamwork, intelligence, and creativity. Mariah transitioned from serving as a board member herself to now running the board. She's the nonprofit and philanthropy coordinator, so we're so lucky to get to have your leadership presence and your talent. On behalf of the board, thank you so much. And we have a token of it. And next, I'm going to pass this off to our Mayor's Day Committee co-chair, Adriano Lujan. Thank you so much.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. I would really like to thank all the volunteers in general, just all over the city doing great work. The awardees today, the nominees, and the nominators, as well as our volunteer board and the mayor. So right here, you know, there's so much great going on with this city in Albuquerque, and we need to focus on that, and that's what's really great about this day, is to concentrate on the good, because a lot of good happens, and sometimes we don't see that. So there's a lot of amazing things happening in our community, and there's a lot of amazing individuals and groups that help contribute to that. So we want to make sure that, you know, those people that go above and beyond are recognized, and I'm honored to have that thing to do today. So I'm not going to waste any more time because I know the mayor's a very busy man. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Mayor Tim Keller from our great city of Albuquerque.
Thanks so much for that warm welcome, and what a wonderful occasion for us to be together. And I know, you know, COVID like comes and goes and et cetera, but like after 2 years, we're back together celebrating volunteers. And that's awesome. But I also want to thank everyone who's stuck with us virtually. We've tried to honor volunteers along the way, and it's been a long 2 years, so it is great to see everyone's face today. I'm going to be very brief, but first and foremost, I know they've been thanked a lot today, but I want to thank the volunteer board of the city. You know, this board is really popular, and it's also like competitive. Like lots of people want to be on it, and which is funny because like no one wants to be on our other boards. So, you know, like we never have that problem with any of our other boards. So I'm sort of also plugging other city boards if you're interested in volunteering on those. See Helen Maestas right there, our Director of Public Affairs. She would love, as part of your volunteer work, to put you on one of our like 78 boards that rarely meet and have little impact. So I couldn't resist. But that's the change you can make, is you can make them have impact, and you can also help them get a quorum so they can meet. So. Now, but this board, right, is the opposite. It has massive impact. And so that's what we're celebrating here today. And I know that board works very hard, and I also want to share that, you know, again, during the pandemic, look, all of you never let up on volunteering. And the board never let up. And frankly, in many ways, and we've seen this all across the country, but look, that brought out so much of the best in us that we never hear about under some tough times. I remember some of those initial meetings when people were like, you know, we were like, we need volunteers. We know it, no one's allowed to leave their house. And, you know, it was before masks and vaccines, and like, you're probably gonna get COVID. And some people still stepped up. And I just have to tell you, you know, we want everyone to do what they're comfortable with, of course, but I just want to express to know that we weren't alone in that, in a way that people could, they continued to help. So now as we move forward into sort of a little bit of a more normal arena, we're celebrating all sorts of wonderful award winners. So congratulations to the award winners, to all that you've done. And I know that really the focus this year is about, I view it as we're celebrating folks who've coordinated all sorts of different things to fill gaps. So whether it's the gap in medical supplies, or it's the gap in family advocacy services, or the gap in rental assistance, or the gap in youth opportunities. And that's what's so special, I think, about volunteering, because that's what we need, right? We know government has a role to play. We know the private sector has a role to play. But there's always going to be those gaps to fill in. And credit today goes to the folks who didn't just complain, right? Or who didn't even just say something. They actually stepped up and said, I'm going to be part of the solution. That is awesome. So I want to thank all the volunteers, and especially the award winners today, for demonstrating that one Albuquerque spirit, because that really is what it's about. The idea behind us as a community, as embodied by that phrase, is that we're all in this together. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's hard, but we want to find ways in which each of us can help in a way that works for us, whether it's in person, or whether it's digital, or whether it's something that involves other people, or whether it's something that doesn't, like, packing medical supplies. And so the idea is find your niche, find your way to be part of that one Albuquerque effort to lift up our community. And so I think what great examples we have today with these award winners. So I'll leave you with one last thank you so much for believing in this city and for not giving up on each other and being part of making this city better. Thank you so much.
All right, now let's move on to why we're here. Let's hear about the outstanding individuals we all came here today to celebrate.
Thing that shows the most like leadership is when we would have patterns or supplies, and Val was always the first person to say, I can help with that. She offered to cut material and cut ribbon, cut all kinds of different things, start pre-making things so that other people could use their time more efficiently. She doesn't drive, but everything else she was willing to do. Find and source material, translate patterns into Spanish, edit all kinds of different things. So she was always the one of the first people to head charging in to make the project easier.
I come from a very big city, very busy, very chaotic, with a huge survivor's guilt over so many things. And there is really hard to put your need to help into action, being how big it is. And when I moved here, it was just easier to connect with the people around you, with social media, with less places, less population. There's more chance to build a community. So I think that I've always helped, I've always had the need to help, and being in a tighter knit community made it possible.
Moving to this country and the work experience, all those volunteer hours count, and saying that you have experience managing people or managing projects, all of that counts for a resume. So whether it's, professional development or just satisfaction that you know that you're making a difference and managing some anxiety, it can be personal and professional, makes an improvement.
We had the great resource of the group having started on Facebook, and we were all on lockdown, so we had nothing to do but go to social media. So that was a great platform for us to start to call to action, to gather more volunteers.
You don't have to be an expert in anything. You just have to have a desire to help and you will find that niche, whether it's driving a vehicle and delivering supplies, whether it's showing up and sitting at a table and handing out flyers, or if it's sitting at a machine and sewing, passing out coffee at a shelter, donating clothes. You don't have to be in person. It can be an action you start at home, like donating items. I think just find something. Reach out, and there's resources that can get you connected to where you feel like you're doing the most good.
It's always important, if not knowing your neighbor, knowing someone else who's in tune with your interests. So volunteering is a great opportunity to do that kind of thing. You always find someone who probably has the very same interests you have, and you end up making friends.
Carolina Val Delphine, her and Mascot, New Mexico made over 75,000 masks along with other support items for frontline workers, graduating high school students, asylum seekers, cancer patients, and many other groups. Let's give her one more round of applause.
The Medical Reserve Corps is a group of dedicated medical and non-medical volunteers that are trained, credentialed, and background checked to help in times of catastrophic disaster, public health emergencies, but we also get involved in our communities as well with sporting events, marathons, and other worthy causes.
Just prior to the pandemic, MRC had been doing a clinic, a volunteer clinic at the large West Side homeless shelter. But when COVID hit and we had to shut down that clinic, that group kind of evolved into the COVID response team.
Came about through a government plan. It was a grant for 14 MRCs throughout the nation, and New Mexico was one of them. And we started with non-medical volunteers. It evolved from not just having retired, but having also current, because the need was such. We started at the Westside Shelter, having a clinic to get our volunteers motivated in helping an organization with the Albuquerque Homeless Westside Shelter. Then it evolved to, since the pandemic hit, we needed to figure out how to mitigate homeless and help them, because that's the population that could be severely get COVID, because where are they going to go? So that's what initiated our response to that. And then we started working with the hotels here in Albuquerque to see how we can start respite care with COVID positives who can handle themselves, take care of themselves, feed themselves, that we can take from the Westside Shelter, from Navajo Nations, from anybody, any hospital that needed to discharge a patient that was in a congregate setting.
We saw that there was a huge need for the COVID shelters, for the vaccination clinics, as well as contact tracing and warehouse help. And so our volunteers worked in all aspects of COVID, including the vaccinations, where we helped with 3.6 million vaccinations across the state.
They worked in blizzards for big drive-through vaccine clinics. They worked in the hot sun for massive clinics. They went into homes as home vaccinators for those who are shut in. They help protect everybody in assisted living facilities in our state. And with the help of the Albuquerque public school system, we have had vaccine clinics in every public school.
I think when you're with MRC, you're with family. We're all family. When we get together, it's a family reunion. We save lives, and we make a big difference in those people's lives. With the homeless population, they give the love, care, and love that they need, that they don't get normally on the street. I can't say enough about them. They're just very caring individuals that want to make a difference in our communities.
Emergencies or community public health events. New Mexico MRC is assisting in the evacuation and care of those living in assisted living facilities that are affected by the fire right now. Thank you very much.
I'm Christian Slough with Build with Robots. I work in the marketing and community engagement. We're an Albuquerque-based company, and we work with schools primarily to connect them with the technology that we're doing. Volunteering increases our connection with the community because we're understanding what the needs are for these schools that we work with. As compared to us being inside of our office and thinking about what these students need, we work with the teachers, with the students, the principals to understand where do we best fit into this. And so having relationships like we have with Rebecca at St. Mary's and working with them, they're just down the road. It's so easy for a small city like Albuquerque to connect things. And it's really finding those relationships and building upon them to better understand where we can use our resources and our times to impact our community.
Our kids got to take part in the microbial testing. They witnessed this robot circulating around campus and keeping all surfaces safe, whether they be electronic, wood, metal, tile. Kids come in contact with a lot of surfaces, and so there was no way our maintenance team could maintain that safety net like the disinfecting robot could. I believe Build with Robots exemplifies leadership in our community by the way they took a stand in the midst of a pandemic and helping us keep our school open safely for our students and our staff. We expect our kids to volunteer in our school and to do service. That's part of our mission. And so when we can partner with a community member such as Build with Robots, then that just aligns with our vision even more, and along with their vision as well.
Being that we're an Albuquerque-based company, the majority of our employees are actually from New Mexico, so we value working with the students because we want to give them the things that we didn't have, show them what's possible right here in Albuquerque. Me growing up here, I didn't realize that there was technology like our robots or a company like this to work at. And so we do office tours, classroom presentations, curriculum, working with classes to show them what we do, but also what's possible for them. They could be the next welder, the next marketer, the next CEO, and we want to expose them to what's possible so that they stay here and want to embrace working in Albuquerque.
Accepting on behalf of For Build with Robots is our Executive Director, Chris. And the robot that you saw in the video is called Breezy One. It is an autonomous disinfecting robot that keeps schools safe and clean. In schools, it helps reduce nurse visits and student staff absenteeism. Build with Robots has served over 300 hours in the last 2 years, and one of their goals is to inspire individuals to go into STEM careers and make Albuquerque a more innovative city. Thank you.
Rio Grande Food Project has been doing critical hunger relief work for almost 33 years. And for the first 17 years, we were run 100% by volunteers. So volunteers are the heart of the food project. They continue to be. We have about 40 volunteers who help every single week. We have 5 on-site staff members. So really volunteers are the ones that make all of this possible. The Food Project is it's a food pantry, community hub, and urban garden. So we have a dual mission where we are here to alleviate hunger through food distributions. We also work really hard to connect people with resources that target the root causes of food insecurity. So not only do we provide a lot of food to families who are facing really tough situations, we also get to know families over time and work on those things that may be leading to not having enough food. And our volunteers are involved on every level. So as you can see behind me, they've packed nutritious food into boxes, they've offloaded trucks, they help us distribute about 50,000 to 100,000 pounds of food every single month. We have volunteers that warmly welcome our guests and register them to be able to pick up food twice a week, every week. And then we have volunteers that are helping with those root cause issues too. So we have a really small computer lab where we're helping people get their first email address, work on a resume, build pathways toward employment, enroll in public benefits. So we're really kind of a community hub, an array of all things related to food security, including growing nutritious food and educating around growing food.
We care in many ways. I'm involved in the food project side, but it's about caring for others so they might eat. We all have to eat, and that's what the Rio Grande Food Project is about.
I really feel like Rio Grande Food Project, our volunteers are working on a daily basis with moms, single moms who come here who are working 2 jobs, who are trying to make ends meet, veterans, people with disabilities, people who are unemployed or underemployed and looking desperately for work, kids who try cherry tomatoes for the very first time in our urban garden. So we really, here at the Food Project, where we see people from all walks of life, and that goes for our volunteers too. Our volunteers are a wide range of individuals. Some are retired who've worked full careers and who are in a place where they can give back a lot of time and energy and resources. Other volunteers are still working full-time jobs and somehow find a little bit of time on a Friday morning once a month to come out and help us. Other volunteers are doing some community service work to sort of get back on their feet and gain some work experience. We have volunteers who have special needs and disabilities who are pros at packing our food boxes and making this all work. So Rio Grande Food Project is community. It's not only a connection to the community, it truly is a slice of our community.
I'm happy to be associated with an organization that where the management is thoughtful about how to proceed forward no matter what the situation. The volunteers here are amazing. They're resilient, they're dedicated, and again, I can't say that enough. They're caring.
Accepting on behalf of the Food Project is Ari Herring, their Executive Director. The Rio Grande Food Project has carried out critical hunger relief in Albuquerque for over 32 years. Having been an all-volunteer effort for its first 17 years, at least 40 volunteers support a staff of 7 to distribute 50,000 to 100,000 pounds of food every month to vulnerable individuals and families. Thank you.
So hi, my name is Claudia Urbina. I am a senior at Cottonwood Classical. I am pursuing the IB Bilingual Diploma, and I am in my school's National Honor Society and have been able to do work with the City of Albuquerque, many of their different programs, as well as lead on-campus clubs.
I see the service efforts of all of our juniors and seniors, and Claudia's stands out almost a head and shoulders above all the others. She really exemplifies the effort that International Baccalaureate would like to see in students in all 3 of those areas. She's been involved in efforts from helping to run an international pen pal program last year, to planting trees and cleaning parks through the city, to cards and gifts for healthcare workers and seniors, as well as to tutoring newcomer students from Central Africa here in the city. She's always been engaged in just a wide variety of efforts, challenging herself in a wide variety of ways, and like I said earlier, tirelessly working in a wide variety of efforts through the city. And she's also been recently recognized for her service work focused on the United Nations Development Goals. And so her impact has really been multifaceted as a leader as an exemplar to others, as well as broad in like I keep saying, multiple different areas, and as well as just in her genuine attachment to volunteerism and as an exemplary student and leader to others.
So I tend to be a more shy and introverted person, so I've definitely been able to come out of my shell and, especially within my school, talk with a lot of administration members and staff members and connect with other student leaders and club leaders, as well as in my community. I've been able to work with several organizations that I've also been able to connect my friends and my family with, so increasing the amount of people who are helping these organizations. And I've also just been able to work on my people skills, being able to communicate and being a leader, so those are definitely skills that I've taken away. And in the impact I've made in my community, it's been amazing to see just how big or small differences can make, whether or not you think it'll make a difference. So that for me is just seeing, like when I work directly with people, like with kids, seeing the joy on their faces, something to me means a lot.
She's also been a leader in volunteer efforts, this year most especially with a program called Math Counts, which is a competitive program for middle schoolers in mathematics, and really helped middle schoolers, especially middle school girls, feel comfortable with challenging themselves and excelling in math.
For me, I volunteer because I have a genuine passion for helping others. One of the things that I keep in my mind in all facets of my life is I want to be in the place where I can make the biggest difference no matter how big or small that impact is. And I want to give back. A lot of the organizations I've worked with have helped me throughout my life. So I really just want to be able to give back and to serve my community as well. I want to give back. A lot of the organizations I work with have helped me throughout my life. So I really just want to be able to give back and to serve my community as well.
I just really love this one, isn't it sweet? Claudia could not be here today. She's traveling, she's on a summer break, what can you say? So her parents today are accepting on her behalf Angel Rubina and Ruth Castrodan. I want to say just a couple more things that her professor mentioned about her, in that so much was covered just now, but also Claudia is a tutor. She wrote letters to support healthcare workers. She made hug-in-a-box packages for seniors. She expresses herself through art. She inspires others with her tireless energy, hard work, and humility, and I think we can see that in her over 300 hours of service.
Barb has had a huge impact on this organization. She started out when it was all volunteers, working out of a garage, and now we're statewide. We have employees. She's done everything from being a walk volunteer to she's been on the board, she's been the board chair. She shows up actually still today on a weekly basis to sort papers and build packets that we send out into the community. She still is a support group leader, so she does 2 support groups each month, specifically for those that are early stage, so they've just found out that they have the disease, and she does such a great job. People line up really to get into her support group. And she also does education and comes back and says, hey, how about this? What about doing these ideas? So she's had a huge impact on our organization.
We call it walking through the journey with a person or a family with dementia in any way that we can help, and is a good thing. And we continually try to improve the way we do things as new people come in and new questions come up. It's satisfying to see people responding to the education that they're getting, making their days easier. We have now have regional offices around the state, trying to make their journey easier. And they can come, they can ask questions anytime, they can call for a teleconference, they can come in for a conference now that we're open.
Been a volunteer for this organization for over 30 years, and she's always been willing just to step in and do whatever's needed, and to lead people along that way and say, hey, can we do this together? She brings in her friends, she brings in other people to help do that volunteering, and then she's just stepped up and said, hey, here's an idea. I actually call her my boss. It makes her mad a little bit when I do, but there's not a whole lot of things that I do that I don't check with Barb first.
Each one of us has a gift, I think, in ways to serve, and finding that gift and being able to put it to good use feels good, yes, but most of all trying to help families walk through these difficult times. Families walk through these difficult times.
Yes, she does deserve this attention, and we're all very happy to celebrate her today. Thank you, Barb. Just a couple more notes on Barb is that through the Alzheimer's Association, she's helped them grow from running out of someone's garage to having 5 offices statewide. Along the way, she has helped thousands of families to manage the disease in the best way possible as a family. Thank you.
Heat the Streets came into existence about 3 years ago. I had been helping another volunteer organization at the time for about 4 years, and it just really occurred to me that they would go out regularly every Saturday night, but it hit me that again, what about the rest of the week for these folks, especially during the winter? I mean, none of us like the cold, and for them it's even more so. So it was just something I felt like I had to do to try to supplement that a little bit more. So it was me just starting out, putting together, batches of soup and hot chocolate, and then going out during the evenings. Started on Tuesday nights and just passing out to whoever I saw out there. And again, it's just organically grown. We have people who've caught wind about it and have wanted to either donate their time or efforts, other food items. And so it's grown from just me doing it myself to about 24 folks that we go out every 2 weeks and do whatever we can to make a difference, help out a little bit. Something that always felt like I've always tried to help out to some degree, randomly, but or sporadically. But after doing it consistently and going out, every week or every 2 weeks to help folks out, it's actually how I found my faith. So really, it's how I came to God's grace was by really serving other people as He intended. So it's a huge part of who I am, and it's integral to who I am now. And I think folks they connect with that, because once you give beyond yourself and look beyond yourself, focus on the rest of the world and the rest of the people around you. It's a very humbling experience, and you realize how blessed we all are individually, especially compared to these folks where our worst day doesn't even, that's not even their best day. So it just really reminds you what's important, and again, people easily connect with that. It's just a good feeling. Just doing something beyond yourself. Find a need, fill in. I mean, we all see the folks that are out there, and it doesn't have to necessarily be with the homeless. It could be, we have tons of kids who are, in after-school programs that could use a little mentoring and guidance that way. There's folks in elderly homes and in retirement places that, they just would like to have someone to talk to, spend time with. So there's so many opportunities. It's just, where do you think you could find that niche to fill? And they're all over the place. But the first step is just getting out and they're looking for it and doing it. You have to find that within yourself to want to do that. But they're out there, and there's lots of opportunity.
why Kai was chosen as our 2022 Volunteer of the Year. So, Kai was nominated by his sister Sophia, and some of the information she had to share with us was that he's been organizing and running Heat the Streets for the last 3 years, and may I say those streets are getting hotter thanks to you, and directly assisting other volunteer groups like Mercy After Dark and God's Misfits for over 7 years. He organizes food preparation events every 2 weeks with other volunteers and makes sure everyone stays safe during these events. He exudes calm and control even when serving folks experiencing mental health issues, and our board is very happy to celebrate him. Thank you. Thank you all for your attention, and our co-chairs are here to wrap us today.
So what do you think? Should we give everybody a round of applause? And I know we've thanked our volunteer board member a number of times, but let us thank them one more time. And just to recognize, we do have past staff members, Nick Votero from Community Engagement. We want to thank you, and David Sinead. Our past board chair, Chim Cheehan. Our president and vice president of this wonderful board, of course, Michelle and Holly. Let's give them a round of applause. And this event would not be possible without our community partnerships and our wonderful corporate partners. It always comes through for us. First of all, we want to recognize Coca-Cola Swire. Let's give Frank Sinna and his team a round of applause.
We'd also like to thank Delta Management Group, Western Sky Community Care, U.S. Eagle.
The Isotopes, of course. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for coming through again.
Matchbox Marketing, Be Well NM.
Cohesive Quotients. Matchbox Marketing, of course, we already said again. Our PLC Enterprises.
And of course, without this special event, the Albuquerque Museum, thank you very much for hosting.
And particularly, we want to thank Julie Valdez, our event coordinator from the museum that continues to just outdo any event that's here at the museum. GOV-TV, of course, Diego and Baz McLean back there on the camera. We want to thank them for continuing to help us live stream. And without further ado...
One more thing.
Yes.
Don't forget, though, by attending today, please visit the Albuquerque Museum. It is free admission for everyone here, so go enjoy some of the exhibits, some of the great, beautiful things they have here. Take advantage of this opportunity. You're already here, you're already parked. Go walk through and enjoy it.
You have the special Malinche event that's going on right now. That's a special event in the museum. And we'll know if you walk through that museum if you see the final character, the coyote that's on the very end of that museum. And again, you all rate #1 in this city. Each and every one of you that gives back to Albuquerque, Puertorriqueños, make the difference every day. Along with each one of you, we want to thank you, our board, and special VIP members, our corporate sponsors that are here. You make a difference every day. Please keep giving. Your time is so important to each and every one of us. Thank you so much for being here.
We also know that this event is not possible without a couple of special people here that we wanted to. I don't know if they knew we were going to do this. I hope they did it. But I know we thanked her before. But I want to thank our chair, Haley Nguyen. I'm sorry. We got you a special little thing. we have one more person to thank. Truly, this event would not have been possible without, of course, more, but this person went way above and beyond. We want to thank Mariah Harrison from the city of Albuquerque for helping us with this. She has been so instrumental. We can't thank her enough. Wonderful job. Thank you, Mariah. Thank you.
And we want to thank our co-chair, Adriano Lujan, for doing all that he does in the community. And again, all of you, please partake, network with one another, pass your cards out. We're here on this special day. Do what you keep doing to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you.